Okay, we're going to have a look at how to use some of the filters that Photo offers. So if I go ahead and open up a sample image here, we've got a lovely old boy here, and one of the filters we can use just to bring some of the tones out, because it's quite a challenging photograph. The dog is quite underexposed compared to the brightness of the foreground. So on the Filters Studio, we can scroll right down. It's all alphabetically organized to the Shadows and Highlights filter. And then we can just increase the shadows slightly just to bring some of that detail out that's been hiding. And of course we can change the range of shadow tones to influence and radius, which we can kind of tailor depending on how much of a shadow boost we're performing here. So there we go. This is an important filter to make you aware of, because a lot of landscape techniques can involve underexposing slightly to capture more highlight detail and then pushing the shadow detail up in post-production. So for people looking to achieve that sort of effect, this is what the Shadows and Highlights filter is predominantly for. So I'll go ahead and tap the check to apply that filter. Let's look at another filter. I'll just close that document down and open up Cathedral here. Okay, now before we go ahead and apply a filter to this image, this is going to highlight one of the key points, and a lot of people stumble into this. If we open up the Layers Studio, we'll see I've already added a curves adjustment to the image, which makes a very slight subtle change tonally. Now, because we have the curves adjustment selected, if we were to go ahead and say add a filter like add noise and start tweaking the settings, nothing happens, because the filters are only influencing whichever layer you currently have selected. So this is important. I need to make sure I have a pixel layer, in this case the background layer, selected, and as we can see, the add noise filter is then influencing it. I'll just get rid of that because that's not the filter I wanted to use. So if we jump back to the Filters Studio and scroll down a bit, we can find Diffuse Glow. Okay, so then I can just tweak the settings to taste. So for a diffuse glow, I like to use quite a large radius, a high opacity, and very low intensity, maybe 2 or 3% even. This just adds a very subtle diffuse effect to the highlights in the image, and I'll just fine-tune the intensity value until we get a nice subtle effect. Then I can just tap the check to apply that filter. But here's where Photo has another trick up its sleeve. Now you'll notice once we've applied that filter, that's all very well and good, but what if we want to go back in and tweak the settings? Well, we can't, because we applied it destructively. However, if I just undo that diffuse glow filter application using undo down here, and we then go and apply it again, so let's just leave these settings as they are, I can tap the live filter icon here. Now Photo will give me a bit of a warning here, because using live filters is quite computationally expensive. However, if you're prepared for the ramifications of that, you can simply tap yes to continue, and if we then move over to the Layers Studio, we'll see. If we just double tap to expand this pixel layer, we've now got a diffuse glow live filter layer. And we can double tap this at any point and go back in and change the settings. Like so. Okay, so that's covered live filters. Let's just quickly look at applying a filter to a selection. So for example, I might want to add a sharpening filter to this image in order to sharpen it up, but I only really want to apply it to this area here that's in focus. So what I can do is move across to the Selections persona, toggle the Smart Selection brush, and then just brush across the areas here to create a selection. And then just before I hit the Filter Studio, let's make sure that we've actually got a pixel layer selected and not the curves adjustment. So we're good to go. I'll move across to the Filter Studio, and what we want is called Unsharp Mask. So if I scroll to the bottom here, tap Unsharp Mask, I can then increase the radius and increase the factor. I only want quite a subtle sharpening effect, so I don't want to go too crazy with these settings here. But then again, who am I kidding? I can change it at a later date because I can also apply this as a live filter layer. So tap yes, and there we go. If I just double tap the pixel layer, we can see the unsharp mask, and it's only applied to this area here. So by creating the selection and then applying the filter, we can see here it has masked the filter to just this area. Okay, so finally we'll want to get rid of this marquee because it's quite distracting and we don't want it there if we're performing other work on the image. So making sure we're still in the selections persona, all we do is double tap on the canvas and choose deselect. So there we go, just a quick overview of using filters in Photo and also how to access their live filter equivalents. Hope that was helpful. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out the other video tutorials.